Oh, hi. You found me just sitting at my desk. Okay, no, the problem with doing a video where you don't edit is that normally I would just cut there and it wouldn't be super awkward, but I'm not gonna edit this, so that was just super awkward. Note to self. So I am sitting at my desk. It looks very clean and nice, but that's just because I've shoved everything to this side, so illusions. You guys really seem to like the last casual Q&A video that I did for Patreon, which is awesome. I really think that's great because I want to give you something that's a little bit different. You liked that it was different than the usual Ask a Mortician format. You liked that it was much more casual, and it's cool. Like, there's no reason to do these if I'm not offering you something that a normal video doesn't offer you, right? So I had a bunch of questions, narrowed down a couple of them. To give you a sense of my day today, I shot the Ask a Mortician self-mummification video, which you will probably have seen by the time I put this video up. And I went out after that to get a coffee meeting with someone and then lunch with my friend, and I came home and I was just gonna relax for the rest of the day. Then I was like, you know what, you already have all this stupid makeup on, the camera is out in the living room, just like haul the light in this room and shoot this video. You already pulled out all the questions, let's do it today. Which is not usually, let's do it today is not my motto usually. That is for sure not my motto. Let's do it next week is my motto. But I don't know, I was just feeling, I was in a good place today to do this, to be here with you. First question from Katrin, which is like my name, but with an R, which is cool. This is a great video, thank you. I'm curious to know if any interesting I'm curious if you know any interesting military customs, either historically or in modern times. It seems like there must be a conflict between wanting to dispose of bodies efficiently, but also with a high degree of ceremony. Yeah, that's really interesting. When my grandfather died, he was actually a colonel in the United States Army, and when he died, I was never much into military pageantry, but I have to say, when you're sitting there in the cemetery and they do the 21 gun salute and they play taps and they hand the folded up American flag to the grandmother, to your grandmother, and thank you for your grandfather's service, like that shit is sad. Like, sad in a good way, sad in a like very intense military pageantry good way. And then another one that I was thinking of was, I grew up with this a little bit because I'm from Hawaii, which is a Pacific island, but I think that it actually originates in New Zealand, which is the haka, which is sort of a dance chant, ritual dance chant that they do in New Zealand. And if you go on YouTube and you just look up haka funeral, you find all of these military funerals where someone has fallen in action and the hearse will be coming down the street and all of the fellow soldiers will surround the hearse doing the haka. And it's so intense and so powerful, and the grief is just like electric in the air. And it's, I think, some of the most amazing, interesting videos on YouTube, frankly. So those are some of my favorite military rituals. I don't know a ton about that. I guess you could make a cool video about that with like Greek people and sort of how they would, or ancient Greeks, and how they would cremate the body and how you would treat different bodies differently depending on what rank they were. And there's some good Victorian stuff about that. I'll think more about that. You don't need to hear me think about this in real time. Hannah asks, this is about the drawing on the back of the wall in the last video. Is that a drawing of a dead baby elephant on your wall, or is it supposed to be asleep? Oh, Hannah, it's definitely supposed to be dead. For sure. Robin asks, I'm a new nurse and I have been the one to wash a patient, etc. When they pass away, a healthcare assistant will take them on a trolley to the morgue. I wondered if you knew what happens after that. So after the body goes to the morgue, what happens? So Obviously it totally depends on the type of hospital, the type of facility, how big it is. In my experience, hospital morgues, the like cool containers where they keep the bodies, they don't have enough room in them. So basically, as soon as a person dies, they can go to the morgue, but they're immediately trying to get that body out of there and to a funeral home. And I don't particularly love that system because I think it puts a lot of pressure on the family to have a quick turnaround of, we need you to get a funeral home here now to pick up this body. What do you mean you don't have a funeral home? Just pick one. And that puts, I think, too much pressure on the family. And so say that a family knows that they want to use my funeral home, the hospital will call, and then it becomes them calling every 20 minutes, every 30 minutes, and being like, where are you? Where are you? Well, I'm coming across Los Angeles in rush hour traffic, but where are you? Where are you? And again, that's not good either. And I understand why they're doing it. They just don't have enough room for the bodies. But like UCLA, for instance, is a much bigger hospital, so they have a lot more room, so there's usually not that pressure, but a lot of smaller hospitals don't. So basically, in my experience, what happens to a body after it goes to the morgue is it is quickly sent out as quickly as possible to a funeral home. Unless it goes to the coroner, unless there was some sort of sketchy situation surrounding the death, then the coroner would pick it up. Nettie asked, my career plans involve community outreach, awesome, and advocating adding death education to school curriculum. There are plenty of organizations that work with grief, but I haven't found any that specifically work towards death education. Do you happen to know of any? Man, I wish I did. I've been thinking, there was an editorial in the New York Times about adding death education to school curriculum a couple weeks ago. And it was a fine editorial, but there's a lot of us who have been talking about that for years, and it really does need to happen. I was talking to my accountant the other day, and she offered to go into LA public schools and give for no money, completely free, just help educate high school students on like, these are the tax forms you need to know. This is what you need to know about paying taxes. This is what you need to know about 1099s versus W-2s. This is how you need to like be a smart financial citizen in the world. And they were like, no, we don't really want any additional things for the kids. We don't need any outsiders. And they just basically refused. And it's so baffling to me why they don't teach kids things they actually need to know. And I'm not saying that math isn't important and science isn't important and literature isn't important. Of course it is. But a child should also graduate high school knowing about basic tax forms, knowing about basic things about death and how it works, knowing things about sex and how it works. That's things that adults know. Adults know those things. And we might as well learn them as soon as possible. So I totally admire your desire to have more death education curriculum in general. I would almost say that you should just work on creating it, work on creating a basic system for someone to start, and then try and just get it into schools. Like go to school with a completed workbook or a completed reader or something that would be super easy and would only take like a week or a couple class periods to integrate. And maybe they would add it to their sex education course. Who knows, if they have a course like that in place and you're like, listen, it would only take a day or two to add a death education component to it, maybe they would do it. That's just some spitballing, but I think it's awesome that you're working on that. And then finally, Sheila asks, question for the next Q&A, how in God's name do you get your bangs and hair to look so dang shiny and sleek? That's an excellent question, Sheila. Thank you for asking. Honestly, this is not a super fun answer, but it's kind of just genetic. And I know that's not a good answer because I wish I had like tips and tricks, but my hair's always just been pretty good. Like when it's super, super thick, first of all, I don't know if you can totally tell, but it's very, very thick. So when I get a haircut, it looks like a small mammal just like crawled in and died on my floor. There's so much hair. And I wash it every other day, mostly. I have a big 1.5 inch curling iron that I use to curl my bangs and then curl the bottom here. And yeah, you know, I have a lot of things in my life that are hard, that take a lot of time, that I'm not exactly genetically blessed with, but this is just one thing that kind of works on me and doesn't take a ton of work. So thank you God for your blessings upon me. On that note, that's kind of what I have for this video. A lot of comments on funeral potatoes from the last one. I definitely could see me doing like a funeral potatoes cook with me and chat with me for another one of those videos. So if you're interested in that, cool. If you're interested in, I mean, please ask more questions too as well. And yeah, thank you, patrons. This is awesome. We're just chilling, you and me. That's a creepy way to end it. Oh well, whatever. See you next time. Bye!